Good afternoon, folks. This is Byron from Health System Services. We are going to unbox today the Resvent's new iBreeze CPAP machine. It does come in a CPAP auto system, and it also does come as a BiPAP system. So whatever your doctor prescribes for you is what we'll set you up with, and works very well. So when you get your machine in the mail, take it out of the box and tear it open here. Very small, streamlined case. It's cushioned, which is very great, very nice for travel purposes. Okay, so here you have your 15mm tubing. You have your unit, power cords, and most importantly, you have this special adapter. Moving the bag and taking out this protection foam here, you have your unit. Okay, we're gonna go over the unit first before we plug in. Okay, you have 3.5-inch screen, big dial here for navigating through your menu options. You have your reservoir actually is built into the side of the unit. By pressing this button here, you can actually slide out your water reservoir, which we'll go over in a second. You have your intake filter here, and you also have an SD port with an SD card already inserted for download purposes, for compliance. All right, you get this adapter, which they leave separately for shipping purposes, doesn't get damaged in transit. This is very important. You have to lock this in place simply by placing the adapter onto the unlock. There's the arrow here, and you point it toward the unlock and you turn until it locks in place. Okay, if you don't lock it, it won't give you a good seal. Turn until it's locked in place, and there's your adapter for your tubing. Your reservoir is, like I said, built into the side of the unit, and recommended to use distilled water only, as I've said before. And you have your filler, fill door is removed by pulling this little tab here, and you can actually take the top of the door of the reservoir off, and you would set your reservoir down on a level surface and fill to the max line. You see the max line is on both sides of the unit, of the humidifier, okay, to the max line with distilled water. Then you would take and put your reservoir door back on. There's 2 tabs here, and latch it again. Okay. You don't want to fill your reservoir by holding it in your hand, simply because you can actually misalign and overfill your reservoir accidentally. So it's always best to fill it on a level surface. And then you would slide your reservoir back in until it locks in place. And your air intake is right here. I do like that the door is magnetic, so it does, when it's closed, it stays closed. There is a woolly filter right here. You just grab and you can take out your filter, and you can either wash it or just bed it clean every week or two. Your insurance should cover you for replacement filters at whatever their convenient, whatever their timeline is. And once it's clean, you would put it back in. I normally replace the filter, tell patients to replace the filters every 2 weeks, which is normal, common practice. Your SD card is very important. Okay, so the SD card there's no modem with this machine. Compared to other machines that have modems, this one has an SD card that if you do work in some place where you need compliances with DOT or driving a vehicle of some sort, where you have to show proof, or if your doctor just wants compliance, we are going to have you mail us. We'll send you out mailers with mailer envelopes with this card, so that you can always mail it back to us. We can download the data, or you can bring it into the store and we'll download the data and we will get the card back to you for further compliance. Okay, so it's very important this SD card is in place. Okay, plugging in your unit, you have your 2 cords, one for power, one for voltage, and power goes right here. It's on a 90, plugs right in there like that, and then your other end, make sure this is plugged in to the brick fully, very important. And okay, so looking at your machine, when you plug it in, you're going to see many different tabs. You have info, you have humidity, mask fit, comfort, and you also have your settings. Okay, so looking at your info, if you push the dial in, you enter this tab, and this will give you a daily report for yourself to let you know how you did last night. So it'll give you the time, the usage in hours and minutes. All right, so if you slept 7 hours and 10 minutes, it'll say 7:10 on the screen. If you had any apneas, micro apneas, anything under 5 is fully acceptable, even on a CPAP. Okay, so that's what your AHI shows you. It also gives you a 3-star tiered rating for your mask and for your humidity. So if you have a slight leak in your mask, you may wake up and see 2 stars, which means you may have to readjust your mask. Okay, same thing with humidity. If insufficient humidity, you may get under 3 stars. If you wake up and you see 3 stars on each, and you see 6 to 7 hours of usage and anything under 5 with your AHI, you're doing great. Okay, so that's your usage. We scroll to, now if you notice we're skipping over the humidity portion. It's doing it automatically simply because the humidifier does not have water in it. It senses when the unit is in need of water or not. So once there's water in the humidifier, this will automatically open up this humidity tab, and at that point you can adjust your humidity levels from 1 through 8. Okay, we're not going to add water to it now, but if you did and this lit up, you would see, instead of the leaves here, you would see a big water droplet. Okay, so the more water, the higher the number you set, 1 through 8, the bigger the water droplet gets on screen. It's pretty intuitive. I like that. Okay, but like we said, this will not work without water in it. So we have a mask fit. If you put your mask on and you hit this mask fit function, it will actually cycle up, and if you see a sad face, you know you have a gross leak in your mask, which means you must either wipe your mask off and adjust your straps, okay, or think about it's time, maybe time to replace your mask. Okay, if you wake up in the morning or you do this mask fit and you see a smiling face, that means you have a good mask fit. Next function would be comfort. Okay, this is where you can adjust your expiratory pressure relief here. Okay, you have auto on, the auto start and auto stop functions. Okay, right now the auto start function is on, which basically means when you put the mask on, the machine senses your breathing and kicks on automatically. Okay, your auto stop function, when you take off the mask, you would have to just manually press the power button to turn it off. But you can set that to an on feature where it'll shut off automatically as well. And you have your ramp time. Okay, the time it takes, this would be your ramp start pressure. Your pressure that you would start your machine at. Let's say the pressure on this machine is 10. You can actually start ramping from a pressure of 5 and over time build up to that pressure of 10. This is a time where you can adjust that ramp. I like this scale. This is a really nifty scale. You can actually adjust your ramp time anywhere from 5 minutes up to a full hour. Most older CPAPs and CPAPs of years past would ramp only 45 minutes. This is great because this one actually ramps up to the full hour. So if you're someone who has a really hard time falling asleep, or it takes you a while to fall asleep, this gives you ample time to fall asleep. Okay, so Right now the ramp is set for 30 minutes. So in essence, we have our pressure set to 10 with the machine. Our ramp time is set for 30 minutes, starting off at a pressure of 5. Tube type, we are using a 15 millimeter tubing. Was it 19? Is that 19 there? We don't really use 19 millimeters. So 15 millimeters is the way to go, okay? The mask, we have 3 different styles. We have a full face, which covers the nose and mouth. We have the pillow mask, which just covers the nostrils, and then we have the nasal mask, which covers the whole nose. Okay, so whichever mask you're using, you would select. It just changes the dynamics of the delivery because the machine now knows what kind of mask you're using, a full face, nasal mask, or pillow mask. And finally, we have our settings, okay? Settings would be, we're using it in centimeters of water pressure, which is the standard for CPAP. Language is in English, or whatever language you like. It has a myriad of different languages. Okay. And then we have brightness for the screen. You can make the screen dimmer. Okay. Energy saving is basically, it shuts the backlight down a lot faster. And we have, can't see that one, what's that? Oh, the date, time and date. All right, so you can adjust your date and time for your machine. All right, once it's set, you don't have to worry about resetting that, even if it's unplugged. Okay. All right, so one of the really neat features of this machine is when the machine is cycling, okay, when the power button is on, and say you lose power, there's a blackout in the neighborhood, like we just lost power a couple months ago. If you lose power, this machine will beep to let you know that you lost power, and which is great because hopefully it'll wake you up. If not, then if the power comes back on, it will turn itself back on and continue cycling, which is great. So to access your reservoir, we're gonna pinch the little locking button at the top and pull out the whole reservoir. And as you can see, it has a fill line here, window. And to remove the top of the reservoir, we're going to pull this tab and lift the door off. It's on hinges. Set that aside. Okay, then we're going to fill it with water, and I'll be right back. Okay, so as you can see, I filled with distilled water up to this line right here. I didn't fill it very high. It's just enough so you can see how to adjust the humidifier setting on the machine. And we're going to put our door back on, hinges, and then this little tab locks it in place. And you can easily move your reservoir back into the machine, and it locks in place. Okay, now if I go to my settings again, you'll see now I can access my humidifier, the humidity setting. If I enter there, we now have a water droplet. So that would be auto, which is nice because it'll automatically adjust according to room temperature, ambient room temperature, or you can actually set it yourself. Most patients like to set theirs themselves. As you can see, the more humidity I give, the bigger the water droplet gets. Okay, so where do people start? I always tell people start in the middle at 4 and increase or decrease according to your need. Okay. Your filter, your intake filter, is right here. This door comes down and your filter comes out, and this gets cleaned and replaced, cleaned weekly and replaced every 2 weeks to a month. And it goes back in place like that. These machines do come with a 2-pack of filters for you to start, and we will take care of from there with your resupply. All right, again, it's very important to note that this connector must be inserted properly and turned to lock position. Otherwise, you won't have a good seal with your tubing.